a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No, I'm not going to do that joke again. But do enjoy this trip with me on Infinite Realms to review another set of Star Wars figures. Hello again and welcome to Infinite Realms. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel and support this content. As always, I am a big fan of Star Wars and I've been collecting Star Wars for many years. Since 1977, my first figure was R2-D2. And I've always just enjoyed Star Wars and I have tons of figures from almost every iteration. I long ago quit trying to be a completist and just grab the ones I really like. Sometimes I grab ones I think I like and they're not quite there, so let's take a look at these and see where they fall. Okay, first up we have Dr. Aspra. Dr. Aspra is a cool character from the comics. I really enjoyed her story in the comics. She actually has a moment where she outwits Vader in the most Brer Rabbit moment I've ever seen in Star Wars. If you're not familiar with it, I greatly invite you to try to hunt up the storyline. It's just really good. The figure I think is really good, but I think it's a little skinny. But a decent representation of Dr. Aspra. It has really great range of motion and is a pretty solid figure that I would expect from the vintage collection. Overall, I would have to give it probably 4.5 stars. Great representation, really fun character, and just really a joy all around. Next, we have the Royal Guard. Those are those guys in red who hung around in the back of the throne room during Return of the Jedi. And I had a pretty good mystery around them. I was always like, who are these guys? Why are they guarding the Emperor? How tough could I have to be to guard the Emperor? And later, there's been some decanonized stories about the Royal Guard, primarily Crimson Empire. That was a really great storyline about what happened with the Royal Guards after the death of the Emperor, and what they were like. It was a really interesting storyline. Even though it's not quote unquote canon, I think it's one of those that's still worth looking up and reading about. Really enjoyable. Really liked that one. However, back to the figure, the Royal Guard is a really good figure. It has a few surprises with it. One of the biggest ones being, of course, that you can take off the helmet and put on some armor. This kind of looks similar to the training armor in Crimson Empire. I'm not sure if that is what it's supposed to be. I've not heard anything official on what this is. I've heard some rumors, but it looks pretty good. I really like it. It's a nice alternate for a figure. It's always nice to have an alternate direction you can go with a figure sometimes. This one, I'm going to give 5 stars just because of that little trick. I think it's a nice trick to have, and I think it works well. Again, I would like to get some official word on that, but I'm sure some will come someday. Next we have, yes, old Palpatine, the Emperor himself. I really thought I'd probably gotten my default Palpatine by this point. But I saw this figure and I was like, well, let me give this a shot. And he's okay. He's good, but that scowl on the face, there's something about it. It reminds me of a Doctor Who episode that I have totally drawn a blank on. I tried to figure out which episode it was that I'm talking about, but I remember it had this funhouse kind of thing that would turn around and give this scowl. It would turn its head like an owl all the way around. It was really kind of, typical Doctor Who creepy. And I don't know. I look at Palpatine, I think of that scowl on that face. It's not a good. It's not a good thing either. I mean, I think it's a poor thing because that's I think a Palpatine with a scowl. I don't think that's the image you want to invoke. Now, one of the main things that attracted me to this was the lightning bolts. Now, that's not the first time we've had Palpatine able to shoot lightning bolts out of his hands, but this one looks executed rather well. I do like the execution. Again, that scowl just really brings the figure down. I'm not sure what it is. It just reminds me of that Doctor Who episode. I mean, I think this would be a great figure without the scowl. Or maybe even you could pull the scowl back a little bit and not quite so downturned lips. Something that wasn't quite there. He's a lot more Sidious than he is Emperor. That is one thing I will say. But at the same time, I'll give him 3.5 stars. It's not a terrible figure. It's just having the versions of the Emperor I have now, I don't think this is an upgrade. Next is probably one of my top 10 favorite characters, of course, Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka is one of those figures we've had several of, but when she gets a really good one, it seems like it always gets past me. And it's been really frustrating because she's had some really knockout figures, and every time I miss it because of one reason or another. Shipping or some kind of delay, or they cancel the line even, or whatever. I always end up missing the figure. This time I got the figure I wanted, and it's a damn good figure. I really like this Ahsoka. She's got a really wide range of motion, which is what you need in Ahsoka. She moves real well. She can, and she can get into really great dynamic, dramatic poses. Really love this figure. I mean, I'm gushing all over it. You can tell I'm going to say 5 stars. I really like this figure. I'm really glad to have this one in my collection. This is by far the best Ahsoka figure I've owned, at least. Next up is Darth Maul. Darth Maul has had a very sordid history. While interesting in The Phantom Menace, of course, he was cut short by somebody who did not have the high ground. And then all of a sudden shows up in Clone Wars and then becomes a real character and becomes a fascinating character. It's really kind of an odd trip and an odd journey for this character who was sort of like a one-off. I mean, he almost just kind of was there at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, boom, he becomes this well-fleshed-out character later on. He, of course, has had the Darksaber. He, of course, has ruled Mandalore for a brief time. All that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff. And this is I really like this version of Darth Maul because it's a different look for him. It's not a look we're used to. And that's perfectly fine. I really like that. I like seeing different versions of fun characters and well-established characters. And of course, this version of Maul and Ahsoka come from their duel in the Clone Wars, which the first time I saw them, I was assuming they would be from Rebels, and then I realized, of course, that Ahsoka's sabers were blue, and then, of course, we saw the card art, and then it was like, oh yeah, it's Clone Wars. Still, good-looking set of figures. Both came out at the same time, so it's hard to not talk about one without the other. This is another one I'll give 5 stars to. If you don't have a Darth Maul, or you don't have that many Mauls, I would really recommend picking this one up. He's a really good version of Darth Maul. So that's going to wrap up this set of reviews for Star Wars figures. Tune in next time, because the fun is not over yet. We're going to review some figures from The Mandalorian. Till then, have a good day.